In many ways, it's best to see this review session as the summation of the previous two, where all of the economic, social, and political tensions of Europe in the preceding two modules come together in the great conflagration that we know as the First World War. But it's also important to realize that the First World War serves as a catalyst for the modules to come, namely that the devastation of such a great war, as it was termed, a war to end all wars, was not going to be confined simply to the process of the war and its immediate aftermath, but would have aftershocks and repercussions that would carry into the present day. So how are we going to attempt to try and trace through this conflict? Well, first we're going to look at the causes of the First World War. How do we get to a point at which this war breaks out? And I'm hoping in this initial section you'll see the connections to what we've talked about before, namely that what you've studied greatly informs how you understand and how you can see these connections to those strands of problems, whether the Eastern question or debates over nationalism or tensions between France and Germany, how all those things come together in terms of the causes and outbreak of the First World War. Next, we're going to look at the economic and social impact or impacts of the war. What is it that changes in society? What changes in the economy when you are trying to fight such a deep and abiding conflict? What do you have when you have, if you will, the forces of nationalism allied with the Industrial Revolution and let free to run? So we're going to trace some of those effects. Third, we're going to look at the peace settlements, because after such a devastating war, after a war that was again termed a war to end all wars, how do you ensure that it really is the last war? How do you ensure that it is the end of all wars? And this is the attempt as peace settlements are signed in an attempt to try and find a way to make a lasting peace. And we'll assess how good or how ill those attempts were. And lastly, we're going to look at the Revolution of 1917 and its effects. And in this case, what we're looking at is, well, seemingly, or at least on the surface, Karl Marx achieving what he always wanted, namely a communist revolution, a revolution of 1917, the formation of a communist state in Russia. And what we're going to trace there is, well, first off, question whether or not that really was what Marx wanted, but also what it means to have a Russian Revolution and the effects that that has on Western civilization as a whole.